Feeling lost, confused about making the right technology decisions for your business. I'm Rashid, and I have been where you are. Join me on Podcast with Rashid. Let's untangle the complex web together, drawing inspirations and gaining insights. With the lineup of seasoned experts and industry leaders, we are here to ignite fresh ideas and provide clarity. Whether you are in a metro, sipping coffee, or at your desk, we are here with you, guiding every step. Richard the Quest once said, "A quest means business." Well, here at Podcast with Rashid, it's not just business, it's business and technology. Feeling lost, confused about making the right technology decisions for your business. I'm Rashid, and I have been where you are. Join me on Podcast with Rashid. Let's untangle the complex web together, drawing inspirations and gaining insights. With the lineup of seasoned experts and industry leaders, we are here to ignite fresh ideas and provide clarity. Whether you are in a metro, sipping coffee, or at your desk, we are here with you, guiding every step. Richard the Quest once said, "A quest means business." Well, here at Podcast with Rashid, it's not just business, it's business and technology. Feeling lost, confused about making the right technology decisions for your business. I'm Rashid, and I have been where you are. Join me on Podcast with Rashid. Let's untangle the complex web together, drawing inspirations and gaining insights. With the lineup of seasoned experts and industry leaders, we are here to ignite fresh ideas and provide clarity. Whether you are in a metro, sipping coffee, or at your desk, we are here with you, guiding every step. Richard the Quest once said, "A quest means business." Well, here at Podcast with Rashid, it's not just business, it's business and technology. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai, GITEX 2023. I'm so thrilled to have the one and only Joe Bagley, our Vice President and CTO for EMEA region. So Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's cool to be back at GITEX again.
Yeah, so Joe, we're always super excited to host you. You enlighten us, the way you think, the knowledge, the expertise that you have. Everybody around the globe actually was waiting for this moment. We have literally around the globe, from Far East to Europe to Latin America, actually to Africa to the Middle East. Everybody is really welcoming you, and they're passing their regards, and they are active.
Cool.
And they're waiting to hear Joe. And what's Joe gonna tell us about the innovation and what you have in your mind?
Well, it's breakfast time in Latin America, so I've never really done breakfast broadcasting before, but it's quite cool. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot going on at VMware right now. There's a lot going on at GITEX, and the industry's a pretty big space. Obviously, the big story of GITEX, the big story everyone asks me about is AI, so we can talk a lot about AI. We can talk about that. But equally, there's a whole bunch of other things that I talk to customers about. And some people might not think, this is top of mind, but there's a couple of things I talk a lot to customers about. One is skills. The number one topic I have conversations with customers about is skills. Mm-hmm. So whether they have the right skills for the new technologies that are coming, they can't find the right skills in the market. How do you train the right people? So there's this constant lack of skills. And if you go and look around this environment, actually, all these new technologies you see on all these stands in GITEX, the excitement as a technologist is what skills do we need in our industry to be able to make the most of those? And that's really the big challenge. So a long conversation with most of our customers is not about the technology, it's about the skills they need in their organization to make the technology successful.
And the other side, by the way, here we had meetings with the governments, and we came up with some program, at least VMware contribution to that space, which is they call it the capacity building for the digitization.
Yeah, and I think most organizations, most governments I talk to around the world are keen to ensure that their country is the one that has the most skilled people and the most people. I think if you look back in history, there was a very famous Russian leader who said that the country that has the best AI will win. And so when you look at AI in the context of skills augmentation, which is really where you have to look at it, is where not that AI is going to replace humans full stop, but AI will enable humans to be better. Mm-hmm. That kind of works in with that. So, maybe humans won't need to learn all the skills you think about because they can use AI to do some of those things, but it means the humans can move on to do something better, more interesting, more creative, and use the human passion. Because if you look back in history, we've used technology to add to humans. So initially we used machinery, steam power, even animals to replace human muscles, right? Yep. And then we've been using custom computers to replace human minds, right. and that's where we are now. And AI is becoming, how do we, add to the human mind, enable the human mind to become more powerful. So that the next place that humans can lead from, we've discussed this before, is down here, right? Yes. And down here in passion and heart and emotions, all that kind of stuff, pulling that together. That to me is the exciting piece, and I don't see human computers doing that.
So Joe, I think AI was there and exists, and people, they use it in different forms and shapes. Yeah,
years and years.
Now
and
I
years.
think maybe the major events, which is get everybody taken by surprise, the generative AI and what's happened. So, and what ChatGPT just bring to the table.
Yeah.
So from that context, I think a lot of people, they open their eyes and say, okay, hold a second, now we're moving to a new generation, which is a generative AI. It could be a new frontier that we haven't experienced before. What's your reflection on this?
So my job as a CTO quite often is to tell people to calm down. I know, people, I always go, it's so exciting now. Right, okay, let's calm down. Okay. Let's put this into context. So if we look at AI, let's calm down and we'll put it into context. So we've been doing AI for 50 years, right? At university, I did AI, 30 years ago. AI has been traditionally what we call predictive AI, so do regression, working out what's happening next. The exciting thing now is generative AI, this transformers, which is what the T in GPT stands for. It's the most exciting thing. But when we look at it, we have to say, okay, fine, well, it's good at some things, but it's not good at everything. So everyone hears AI and they think we've achieved what people call AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, fully replacing a human brain. Yes. LLMs, GPT, not doing that. What you're looking at there is, I suppose, the sort of the language function of the brain finally started to come forward. So the first thing to look at is what you're doing with GPT and with LLMs is you're not exactly creating new stuff in that context. I suppose the best way to put it. What you're doing is you're finding a better way for humans to talk to computers, right? Yeah. So we've always had programming languages. You know, programming languages has evolved. When we first started, there were like 5 people could program a computer. And then over time, we've had better and better and easier languages for humans to interact. Now, anyone can tell a computer what they want it to do, and the computer can understand them better.
Normal language.
Yeah, and understand its capabilities and create that. So you can now send a picture of a diagram and say to a computer, this is what I want you to do, and it will do it. So that's fantastic. So what you've now got is a better way for humans to take control of computers, not for computers to take over. So look at LLMs in that way. So LLMs is a way for us to say, okay, I can better interact with computers, with data, with everything. Then you have to think, okay, well, everywhere there's data, there's going to be AI. So look around everywhere in your life where there's data, we're going to have AI associated with that. What does that mean? It means we're going to have a better way to interact with that data, a better way to get information out of it, a better way to get computers to think about that data. So when you look at LLMs, look at it in that context. More importantly, LLMs do not understand. And I'll keep saying this, right? LLMs do not understand. They don't have context. They just know, they see patterns of words, and they kind of know what patterns of words should come up after that. So a really good example is GPT-3.5. GPT-3.5, they did medical diagnosis. Someone said, okay, fine, I'm going to give you the symptoms of a human being, do the diagnosis of this human. And it came back with a really good answer, and at the end it said, and here's the medical papers that support this diagnosis. Except those medical papers didn't exist.
Really?
Right? No. Because ChatGPT just thought, well, when you do a diagnosis at the end, you cite medical papers. It didn't understand you have to cite medical papers that actually exist. And so they said, okay, what are these medical papers? So it created them. Because again, it doesn't understand that there's a process behind creating that it has to do. So there's an awful long way to go, and this is what people talk about hallucinations, etc. And we talk about in that context. So there's a lot of understanding that's missing from this, but there's some great stuff that it can do. So let's talk about a fabulous use case, right? Yes. So here's a really good use case that most people don't think of. When people hear about LLMs, they get excited about, chatbots and interacting with people and creating and digital editing or whatever it is. The enterprises that I've been talking to, most of them are excited about this is my favorite thing, right? I get an LLM, I can point it at an old mainframe and some old COBOL and say, what is this doing? Okay. And then the LLM will go, okay, here's exactly what it's doing. I understand COBOL. Here's what it's doing. And then you go, can you rewrite that in Python? It will go, yeah, okay, here it is in Python.
Wow.
So actually, we can look at a fabulous way of solving a lot of the legacy problems that we've got today and moving forward. So it's not just about the Copilot helping me write new code. Some of it will be, what's this old stuff do and how do I move forward? So, we have to look again at how do you use it to solve problems we've been trying to solve for a long period of time and move forward as human endeavor.
So, as you see, the motto for this Gitex is imagine AI everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think there are a lot of, let's say, like people who try to innovate, to try to come up with a solution where they can put this in context, right?
Yeah.
And for this kind of innovation, we also at VMware, we just announced something like in our Explore in Vegas.
Yeah.
So in that kind, so can you just enlighten us what is there, what we try to contribute in this AI world?
Totally. So when we talk about LLMs and AI, and I said earlier, wherever there's data, there will be AI. We have to look at our customers' primary concerns and their primary understanding. What we announced at VMware Explore was private AI. Now, people are, what are you on about, Joe? Private AI? Well, I don't understand. Well, so here's the story. If you're looking to use one of the online public AI solutions like, Bard from Google or, Copilot from Microsoft or whatever, what you're doing ultimately is you're giving your data to that cloud. Now, there can be various assurances that your data is not going to be used to train their model and whatever, those will happen. There'll be a sliding scale of privacy in there. But for some of our customers, they want to know that their data is not leaving their site. It's not going to the cloud, but they still want to use the power of AI on that data. So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, well, we already run VMware infrastructure. We have a lot of data. How do I bring the power of AI onto the data and the stuff I already own, and that's what private AI is all about. So
closer to my data with no restrictions around it.
How do I bring maybe a model from the internet, bring that model in, and train that model on my data so I get the full power without having to risk having my data? I mean, there's been customers who have said, so the problem is, if you said, okay, here's some top secret internal documents, and you could then upload them to the public AI and say, can you please summarize these documents? And it comes back and goes, here's the summary of them.
He will do, but he will use it.
But then where's that data gone? And no matter how many assurances you get from the cloud provider, you're never really sure that it's properly secure. In this context, you can say, okay, well, I'm going to bring the AI and run it on premises. And there's a sliding scale of that, right? Because you can take a pre-trained public model. So let's say I go take a pre-trained public model and I bring it on premises, great. But how do I know what that pre-trained public model is doing? And this is where we get into the challenge that we've been talking about at VMware for a long time, which is the explainability of AI. So those AI models, they're black boxes. We put a load of data into it, it trains itself to understand that data, and it then does stuff.
Could be biased, not biased, it could be ethical, not ethical, whatever. Yeah?
I could have trained it to do some interesting things, right? So if I go and get a public model and bring it to run it on premises, what is there to say that there's not some secret prompt that I put in that if I say these 5 words to it, it then encrypts all my data, and I'm in a ransomware situation, or it connects all my data to some foreign access power, and it uploads all my data to my enemies or whatever. So again, some people say, actually, private AI isn't just about running a model on my data, it's about creating my own models and training, which is a much more expensive thing to do. So there's a sliding scale of AI, and what we're saying is to our customers is that no matter where, like today, no matter where you want to do your computing, from public cloud through private cloud through to the edge, VMware's there to support you with VMware Cloud Foundation. And the same with private AI. Wherever you want to do AI, whether it's in public cloud, in private cloud all the way through to the edge, private AI, with our partnerships with NVIDIA and others, give you the ability to do whatever you want, wherever you want to do that. So no restrictions, choice.
Wow. And with all of this, definitely it comes all the, like the list of things, which is the ethical dilemma, the accountability, like the explainability, and with that, definitely with what we are having, what we see around the globe in terms of sovereignty, in terms of the data classification, what have you, I think, is that something, is it really going to see that it's going to be similar to what we did with the private cloud? Is going to be the same hype that everybody's going to the cloud, maybe at the beginning, but the reality is actually, to harness the private one and then go use the public wherever is appropriate?
Yeah, I think so. You have to look at AI as just another workload that's going to be sitting on this infrastructure that people have built. And the infrastructure people have built is a hybrid infrastructure, a multi-cloud infrastructure. So what they're looking at is, okay, where's that workload going to sit in that? Now, if we look at cloud, for example, cloud is a big sliding scale, and there's a lot of gray areas. It's not just public and private. There's sovereign cloud, and there's various types of sovereign cloud and levels of sovereignty that you're going to have. You're going to have exactly the same areas with AI. So some people are going to say, actually, I need everything on premises, nothing connected to the internet, or some on premises, some on the internet, some in a mix, not really sure where.
And we have the edge as well.
Correct, and then some out to the edge, as we're doing with some customers too. So, being able to provide that choice, and so a customer knowing they can come to us and go, okay, well, all that choice you had with operating the cloud, I've got that same level of choice with my AI workloads, is exactly what it's about. So as we get, as if you go to certain other hyperscalers, the only option is you come and do it in our public cloud.
Yes.
With us, it doesn't matter, the option's wherever you go, and that's really the point here. So private AI isn't about saying it's just on premises. It's also about how do you operate private AI in a public cloud, maybe? How do you operate in a sovereign cloud? How do you operate a private model in a distributed environment?
Okay. So Joe, I know that you knew capacity, and we have seen this in action. I witnessed this also with some of the customers that we have. You work a lot in challenging the status quo, and you don't take no as an answer, because there is always something there to overcome whatever situation. In a situation where me being a business owner or a CIO, CTO, and I have challenges, and there is also innovation in the mind, which is I don't know how to navigate it through this. What's your advice to them, knowing what you were doing behind the scene with so many customers around the globe, and maybe you can share examples with us as well?
Yeah, so for me, innovation is different to invention. People have to understand that. So invention is creating something from new. You've never done it before. Innovation is taking things that already exist and putting them together in a way that no one thought of before. And that's really what we see happening at our customers. They take things that we provide, our products, and their environment, and they put those products together in a way that we didn't think. So one of my favorite examples is what we're doing with the police in the UK. The Surrey and Sussex Police is a fabulous example where what we did with them was, first of all, was an SD-WAN solving an SD-WAN problem. Really simple. Was our classic SD-WAN product. They have lots and lots of police offices, police stations all around the country, and we walked in with our SD-WAN solution, replaced a bunch of old internet connections and WAN and other stuff with a nice simple solution, saved them a lot of money, saved them operating costs. They loved it. They loved it so much they came back and said, could you do that in a police car? And we went, sounds like fun. No one's asked us to do this anymore. That's innovation. Let's give it a go. So we worked with a hardware partner, several of them now actually, and looked at what we could do. In the back of an average police car, there's over 100 kilos of equipment, various computing equipment for different systems for number plate recognition and CCTV and other things. Of course, we're the virtualization company, so we went, well, we could virtualize all that and run it on a small box. And so that's really what we did. So now you're looking at a small box, which is about 5 kilos max in a police car, which has multiple LTE connections to the cell phone network at high speed, provides in-car network and in-car Wi-Fi in a way they've never had before, and lightens the workload in the car. But there's some cool stuff about that, because now, and this is the real difference here, what we've done is we've extended the police secure network to the police car, which has never happened before, right? So before, what the police had in a police car was a different network to what they had in their police stations. So they had to go, so if you're a rural police officer that doesn't live near, and operating out, you had to go back to the police station once a day to do your work, because you couldn't do it in the car. We now have a secure network in the car that's exactly the same as in the police station, it's in their head office. And that's actually the big change for them. So the ability for them to sit there with a laptop in a police car and work as though they're on the police secure network is absolutely huge for them. It changes the operating model. And so that's where we've taken a customer approached us to do something that they didn't think we normally did, and we've totally changed the operating model and the way that this entire organization, this police force, does business. And as well, it's a great sustainability story because we've saved them 95 kilos in every car, so the weight saving, and even they brought this one up, the fuel saving is huge for them too. So, that to me is where I see us talking about innovation with customers. And that's the kind of thing we do with McLaren as well and other things, is we're looking at ways that we can bring our technology to their problems. And only they can come up with some of these ideas, but it's how we respond is what matters.
Okay. And with this kind of, now in this context, which is now, as you said, the big elephant in the room, which is now the AI and generative AI, what is your advice to, let's say, to the practitioners, even though decision makers, which is, I think they're going to be pushed that, okay, we have to do something in that space, yeah?
Yeah.
So, and we know that there are different, let's say, like maturity models when it comes to AI. We've been from experimenting to experimenting, up to become, let's say, like as part of their DNA at some point level, which is maybe level 5. So what is your practical experience from really a veteran CTO that he has seen so many technologies going through that curve? What's your advice to them?
Don't get too upset that you're behind, because if you think you're behind, you're about the same level as everyone else. Most people at the moment have never really played with an LLM before. When we do surveys with customers, they're just starting to investigate. They're not, nowhere near production yet. They're looking at how they can use it. It's a fringe technology, so don't get too worried about it. You're not behind the curve. I'm seeing probably 15, 20 startups a day. Wow. Popping up, people ask me, have you heard about this? I'm like, no, I haven't heard about that startup. There's hundreds of them, right? In AI, popping up all over the place. So again, don't panic too much about that. I think get that basic fundamental understanding of where we are in AI right now. What is transformers? What is GPT? What is an LLM? How do you train one? Why do you train one? How does the model system work? And then if you can understand that technology roadmap, that technology landscape, then you can take it in your unique context to your business and start to work out how you can start to add value to that. Don't listen to the vendors telling you how they can come and solve your problems. Go out there, look at their technology, work out the fundamentals of it, how it works, and then start looking at how you can start applying that to your business. And there's some great partners that we're working out there, such as Hugging Face and Ray and others, all doing fantastic things in this space, all starting to operationalize it. Because actually, and here's the real challenge, what are we looking at? VMware's not going to provide an AI. We're not going to provide a model.
Foundation.
What we're going to provide is the operating model, right? And that's where the real value is, okay? So with any customer, you can get excited about what the technology is going to do for you, but actually where it's going to hurt you is the operating model. So work that one out too. And that's what we're focused on, is we're focused on when the customer comes and says, okay, I have to do AI, my business has said I've got to run an LLM, we can work up and say, here's the architecture, here's the MLOps operating model, here's how we make it simple for you. Just like we've done for every workload before.
That's how we secure it and save it.
Correct. So this is it. Here's how you, good points. Here's how you secure this workload. Here's how you back it up. Yep. Here's how you make sure
the day-to-day operations, which people they don't think about.
Here's how you make it resilient. Here's how you do all the stuff you've done for every workload before
to maintain your edge and your uniqueness in the market.
Correct. And so when someone comes to me and says, okay, how do I run an AI model at the edge, updating from a central train model? I'll go, okay, here's the operating model for you. When they come to me and say, well, how do I do it not on GPUs but do it on CPUs? Here's the operating model. That's the kind of stuff we're looking at, is how do we get those complicated pieces working for you.
Okay. So Joe, really, it's super excited to have you. I wanted, before we ended up, I wanted to give to our audience a future outlook from how Joe see the world in the coming couple of years. Okay, so imagine that we have that poll, and you're gonna tell us about the future. So what's there?
So for me, the exciting future in this industry is nothing to do with what I've just talked about.
Okay, tell us, yeah.
So when you talk about AI, you talk about all these other wonderful things. Actually, the real one, if you look at a bigger macro view of our industry, there's some exciting stuff coming. And it involves two big parties in our industry. Party number one, cloud providers. So I'm talking the big cloud providers, the Amazons, the Microsofts, etc., and the next tier of cloud providers, the IBMs, the Oracles, and all the other partners that we have here, for example, in the Middle East that operate public clouds. That's one side of the game. Mm-hmm. The other side of the game, telcos.
Telcos.
Right? Vodafone, Etisalat, all those. Another side of the game. Do you know what's going to happen in the next 5 years? They're going to come together, right? They're going to meet. They're going to meet at customers. They're going to meet at the edge. They're going to meet in innovation. One's going to acquire the other one's going to acquire the other. You're going to see a telco buy a cloud provider. You're going to see cloud providers buy telcos. It's going to be a really interesting time because those two worlds are coming one, right? And that's where, for me, the real interest and excitement happens in this industry. So I'm looking around here, looking at, okay, where are they going to meet? Where they meet is where it's going to get interesting. There's going to be excitement. There's going to be innovation. There's going to be stuff happening. That's going to be fun.
So thank you, Joe, for this. Actually, you already make the introduction for our next, let's say, guest, which is flown from the US, our Mariam Saud, which is our Telco BU CTO, which is going to be enlightening us. So thank you for the introduction, Joe. So really appreciate the time. Hopefully we'll have some time with you also just to capture. I know that you have the eureka moment, we have 5 Einsteins inside your brain. We want to get that slice maybe in another session with you during GITEX. So with that, really thank you, Joe, for being with us, and stay tuned. We're going to stay live. We're going to be keeping the video on. We're just going to get our next esteemed guest, Mariam Soron, who are our CTO for Telco Business Unit, which was presenting today in GITEX in a big forum about the transformation that happens in the telco industry, and without any planning, like Joe, it was exactly to the point that you mentioned. So, Joe, thank you so much. We really appreciated having you on the show. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Good.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai at GITEX 2023. I'm so thrilled and honored to be with a guest that's really flown from the US, especially for this event, to participate in GITEX as well with the VMware booth. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Mariam Solon, our Chief Technology Officer for the TechGo business unit within VMware. Mariam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rashid.
I know it's been a long travel, but just you managed to make it and you were on the stage today. So for our viewers and the audience around the globe, they really would like to know who's Mariam. So could you please introduce yourself, Mariam?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for our Service Provider and Edge business unit. That includes what we actually are transforming with the telcos, in addition to our SD-WAN and Edge products. And Edge is definitely a critical topic for us on what we're doing today and where it's going in the future. So first of all, let me say it's so exciting to be in Dubai. Okay, I haven't been here for decades.
Yep.
And this transformation that's happened over here is amazing. And this show particularly is massive. There's a lot of amazing events going on. There's a lot of amazing talks going on. Particularly today, we heard from the CEO at Etisalat, and he talked about the transformation that's happening in Dubai. And it was pretty amazing. You know, I mean, he was hitting really key points. I mean, you have to think about it, that what, you know, the leadership of what's happening in the region is thinking about. You know, he hit on things that you and I will talk about. He hit on actually generative AI and how they're actually doing low-hanging fruit with respect to HR sort of business cases, right? And how they're actually going after making life in a co-pilot way simpler even for their employees, in addition to all the intelligence that is built in their networks today. And they're massive, right? So it's not only just in the United Arab Emirates, they're actually in the region, they're massive. So what they've transformed, not in terms of only speed, but also the new enablements, I was very impressed.
Wow. So I know, Mariam, you were addressing a speech today, right?
Yes.
So just give us like a sneak peek. What was the topic? What you were discussing with the wider respectful audience?
The topic was about the blueprint for building resilient telco networks.
Okay.
And I was there with two of my colleagues who are impressive from NTT and Schneider Electric. And this is a partnership that at VMware we actually really like, because it not only allows us to work in the telco space, but also in the edge space. So really the merger of enterprise plus consumer sort of spaces. And in that one, you know, we hit on the hot topics that today, that you and I may be able to cover some of those. We talked about what does actually a resilient network mean? What do the telcos need to do? What is AI impacting to what their work that they're doing? And so it was very interesting to hear, like, you know, sort of what the partnerships are going to be, what the breaking of the silos mean. So a lot of the topics that really break and then put back the telco industry in an amazingly massive way.
So this is Mariam will get us really to the key topic that we want to discuss today, which is, you know, telco transformation. We've been hearing this, but, you know, I would like from the expert, from the CTO, you know, your hands-on, you are in the making of this. Define what is the telco transformation, what's happening?
Okay, sure. At that very high level, the telco transformation started with creating disaggregation in the network. So really decoupling a bunch of the RAN and core functions, network functions, creating this as disaggregation. Then the second transformation was the decoupling of hardware and software, you know, to build these resilient networks. The third transformation is about openness. So whether that's open architectures that have already been implemented in the core, and Open RAN being a new one, it's about that. And it's also about open APIs. So you're talking about really not moving away, and of course, look, speed is always going to be important, right? I mean, we all want better speeds.
Yes.
That's a given. But in addition to better speeds, actually the telcos are really trying to become technology companies, right? They're really trying to go beyond just being a connectivity pipe. That's what they want. Okay, and again, with the CEO of Etisalat today, he talked about open APIs. He talked about how they're already looking at the GSMA or incorporating some of these open APIs. So you're talking about disaggregation, software, hardware, decoupling, openness, whether it's architectures, open APIs, to make the telco network consumable, easy to consume, whether it's from an enterprise perspective or whether it's from a user perspective. Look at how easy Wi-Fi is to consume,
Yes.
right? That's one key. And the second one is to make it programmable. So you want this programmability layer because that's what allows for the easier consumption of these networks. That's in a nutshell what's going on.
So this is really, I'm asking you about really the drivers for what's the aspirations or expectation from this transformation, because definitely you need to cope up with the technology, but definitely they have something in mind. So you mentioned two of them. Is there anything else that really, as operators, you want to get out of that transformation as an industry?
Yes, the first key one is larger market share in areas where they didn't operate in. So basically, let's take enterprise as an example, right?
Yes.
The telcos can really serve the enterprise in a very, very advanced way, right? Different than just going and doing a private network or enterprise grade sort of connectivity that comes in. What this allows them to do is to address the enterprise market, which they, by the way, to date, they haven't been able to, right? It's very, very in a minimal perspective. And the enterprise market is trying to go and do private wireless or do these other things, or even in the edge space, they're trying to get creative around all the edge compute storage and manageability of data and things like that, even in that space. So it's opening up new market share. That is not just primarily consumer grade mobile use cases. You're talking about all the 5G use cases that we talked about. I mean, they've been talked about for a while, right? So now it's about the transformation that the network needs to do, the investment that needs to be placed so that they get this new network share. And then it's to enable these third-party applications, right? That's another transformation that's coming from being easier to consume.
Part of the game.
Yeah, to be part of the game, to enable these smaller, innovative, really creative companies to come and actually implement their applications, whether it's on the RIC platform in terms of X apps or R apps, or whether it's on the enterprise sort of level of actually really consuming and enabling these applications and use cases. So new market share, new opportunity, and diversity.
Okay, so now in the context for operators, and maybe you can also share some examples with us. Definitely in this transformation, it's not an easy ride, right? And there are always challenges associated with this change, different from technology, people, process, what have you. So can you please share with us what are you seeing like major, let's say, challenges, whenever they want to go through this change or this transformation, they have to deal with?
Right. There's if you look at the operators like Dish Network, right?
Okay.
They were greenfield operators, so they had the clean sheet of paper, and basically they were able to really do state-of-the-art network build. Okay, so the brownfields can also migrate towards their path, but it's just a really different path because they're already running existing networks, and it's about the investment to be able to do eventually what Dish is offering today, right? So one of the challenges is really timing and investment, okay? The second one is about, really, if you look at it, the workforce expertise, right? Telco and cloud came together. You have your telco experts, you have your cloud experts, and over the years, this has gotten a little bit better. I'm a telco person myself. I started learning, software just recently, and it's fascinating. I love it. But, but the experience and expertise is still very siloed. This needs to happen, right? And also another thing is that it's actually, you need to also really entice the new generation about this, right? If you look at the new generation that's coming out of college and universities, they don't find this space very they're like they want to go to do the social media stuff, all the cool stuff that exists over there, right? So how do you get them to be
How to make it
interested?
cool.
Yeah, how to make it cool? Like, you know, 5G waveforms, 3GPP, you know, how do you rebrand this a little bit so that they actually kind of start thinking about, wow, this is cool. I'm actually transforming and revolutionizing connectivity for my own generation and the future generation, whether it's on Earth or whether it's on Mars. You know, we have to get creative around this.
Rebranding the whole thing, yeah?
Yeah, rebranding the whole thing, seriously. I mean, why not?
Okay, so in this context, you know, definitely there was also our guests from online. They're saying, okay, so what's VMware is doing in that space? So how you are helping in this transformation? What we do? VMware, where we play in this role?
We provide one of the foundational building blocks to enable this transformation, right? If you look, the disaggregation and the hardware and software decoupling and being able to run these virtual or VNFs, CNFs on this sort of off-the-shelf hardware, we are the platform that enables this. And we've done it in an amazing way. We've done it in the core network and now in the RAN network. And we also have a RIC product. We actually are, this is so foundational in the transformation that you're going to be able to have a platform layer and a software layer that not only allows you to do this transformation, but also unleashes this programmability aspect. We're really excited about this intelligent overlay. We've been talking about intelligent overlay for a while, but it's really enabling this use case of, you know, imagine a telco network that has its own intelligence, but it's more on network performance data or things like that. Now imagine an intelligent layer that actually talks to the application layer that could truly provide that programmability to make the network easier to consume for the enterprises, right? That is what, you know, our software-defined edge, which is really what we're excited around, is going to unleash and provide that across, you know, whether it's our SD-WAN, whether it's our edge compute, or whether it's a telco network, that these are all really edges. All of them are in a way, and it brings all of this together to be able to not allow only the networks, the telco networks to transform, but also really enable the enterprise partnership to be able to consume these networks.
So what I can envision that, you know, like the parties that they're going to be involved in this transformation is not just only the telco and the usual suspects from the NIPS or what have you. We're going to expand to the enterprises, to the innovations that you want to bring in addition also maybe to a new line of business to get back to the excitement that is, this is an exciting moment that people, they can contribute. It's not just only, you know, locked and for, you know, very niche players in that space. Am I getting it right?
Yes, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. Completely on target. So, and also remember, the additional thing that it does is it accelerates innovation, what we're doing, right?
Okay.
Not only innovation for ourselves, but innovation for third-party application providers, right? For example, take our RIG platform, right? And that really brings in these smaller companies to be able to do a lot of the X apps and R apps to actually lay it on top of it. So not only we're trying to help the telcos, and we've done it in an incredible way at Dish, at Vodafone, and many of the other operators that today are actually using these cloud-native platforms, but also really accelerating the industry. We just have to kind of be open to getting away from these siloed approaches and trying to break some of these barriers. And all of these companies whether they're legacy infrastructure providers or future infrastructure providers, they all have a role to play to be able to foster this innovation.
And I think for any change, it requires resources, right? And I know you are a big advocate wherever you go, and I say, okay, to be able to fuel it, you need to have some kind of investments around the space. Now, if I'm an operator and I say, okay, I'm at a dilemma between investing in the change and the return, still where I'm still not maybe maintaining my ROI on whatever assets, you know, because in technology, in telcos, it's like 10, 15, 20 years back, payback for whatever investment they are doing. No, so how you can bring these worlds together? If you can add color to this in your expertise, Mariam, that would be really great.
You know, I have to say that Tick to Buy.
Yes.
Right? The investment was made to build this amazing infrastructure,
yes,
this amazing social environment for people's happiness, for people's easier living, right? The investment was made first. Then there's this outpour of people who want to come here, right? It wasn't the other way around. They didn't invite people in and then start building this amazing, sort of infrastructure that they have. So it's the same with telcos, right? Years ago, when telcos did 3G, it was a couple 100 kilobits per second, whatever, 110 kilobits per second. The highest, data consumption app was text messaging. Everybody was sitting around and saying, what do we need this for? But what did they do? They spent billions of dollars on spectrum, billions of dollars of building the network, and the smartphone was born. Everything after that, all these different, sort of giants and content providers. I know, exactly. Look at around us. So first the investment was made. Okay, then it unleashed all of this. I understand the telco dilemma because they're trying to. They're the top of mind question for them is how do I monetize this? I have to spend a lot of money on this. What does this bring me? Right? There's a few really tangible concepts that are immediate, but also think about what's in the future. The immediate ones are, think about the upgrades. Right, you would, whether it was a new 3GPP feature or whether you want to upgrade to 3G, 4G, the timelines that you're talking about, 10 years or even 3 years for features sometimes. Imagine a network that you could upgrade every hour.
Wow.
That's gonna have to be,
that's the new reality.
That's the new reality. So you upgrade this. This is what this will allow you to do. It also allows you to just actually serve the different market share, like the enterprise market. So those are the immediate gains. But really, I think the magic, everybody says was the killer app. It's going to be something like smartphone that we can't even imagine today.
Wow. So Mariam, with definitely, I know you have so many things really with expertise and working with customers around the for our customers in the region, even globally, because we have that global business as well. I would like you to add them, we have practitioners, we have people that follow you, to say, what's your advice for them? At the corporate level as well as professional level, what they have to do to navigate through this change?
Sure, of course. My advice is do not be afraid of change and risk. Take generative AI as an example. Having and believing in chaos that comes along with such a concept like generative AI is worth it. And it will be transformational, and it will make or break companies. So, change rate, risk needs to follow that, and then, of course, finally, the investment that is needed.
So, Mariam, really, thank you so much for insights, and definitely we'll have some of the questions we will come from our audience, which is we're going to pass it to you for really address it. You enlighten us. And I invite also the stage with yours and your ideas and with your ask to the industry that they have to react and they have to do exactly what you see as the shift kind of investment so that we can harness the benefit of what's going to be with all the new innovations that Go is aiming for. So thank you so much for being with us today. As I was thrilled to host you in Mobile World Congress, again I'm thrilled, and hopefully we're going to host you also in Barcelona in our VMware Explore. And really, thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Of course, and Rashid, of course, you're a celebrity yourself, and it's a great privilege to be here with you today and talking about these important topics. Okay, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, and enjoy Dubai. I know it's been now almost like a decade or more not be there. So you will see the transformative city, the city of the future. So we'll wish you a pleasant stay as well and engagement with our customers and our colleagues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. For our listeners and the viewers, yes, we have people from Pakistan, India, let's say South Africa, the new name for India, Bharat. Also, we've seen people coming from Morocco, from Tunisia, Algeria, from Spain, from Italy, from Sudan, from Thailand, from Australia, from the UK, from Malaysia, from Namibia, from France, from Hungary. So for everyone, really thank you for being an active participants, and you are also enjoying this show, as I do with our guest Steve guests. So stay tuned. Next, we're gonna a special guest also talking about the mobility aspects of the workforce and see what are the new dynamics and how we can get it through this. So stay tuned. In a couple of minutes, we'll be back with you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai at GITEX 2023. As we promised you before the break, we are going to have a special guest. Our special guest is going to talk about the mobility and the new style of work and how really we keep the balance between the different modes of operation in that space. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Steven Jovanovic, who's our digital workspace leader of the region, and he's live with us today, and he's going to be enlightening us about how to navigate through this, what are the trends, and how it's really to give practical advices for leaders and decision makers in that space. So, Steven, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rashid. Pleasure is mine.
Yeah. So, Steven, just let me start with one thing. Like recent study, we revealed stating that 81% of employees, of employers, they feel that for innovation to happen, we need to go back to the offices.
Right.
While 89% of the employees, they say, for having the job satisfaction, I need to work from anywhere. So, putting this as a foundation for the discussion, what's happening in this workplace mobility aspects and the experience post-pandemic, going back to the offices, doing this hybrid? So can you please share your thoughts on this?
Yes, of course. So you rightly pointed out there's a kind of paradox, right? And there's a very different way that management and the leadership feels that business needs to be done versus the employees. So there is this kind of friction, and we believe the talent is the utmost thing, right? So if you are striving as an organization to become a number one in your business, in your industry, in your field, you need to hire the best people, right? We see what's happening in football, we see it in sports, we see it in many other spheres. If you want to be the best, you have to have the best people and the best teams around you. So if you're, let's say, in a market, you want to become a leader in your industry, and you want to hire the best people, you cannot force the best developers, the best engineers to do the work that you want them to do. You have to give them flexibility, right? If somebody feels they are the most effective, most productive working from home, from coffee shop, from wherever it is, this is what we should accommodate. Yes, there is that old way of managing that many organizations still suffer from, is out of sight, out of mind mentality, where if they don't see the employees, if they don't see them what time they came in the office, what time they left, if they don't see them busy, then they think they do nothing and they're not productive, which is a really like old-fashioned or old way of thinking. And we see this quite a bit in the region. But there's a lot of organizations who understand that if you want to attract the best talent, you need to give them flexibility to work from anywhere, from any device that they want, right? I think that's something that is important and everybody needs to keep in mind.
So, we'll come to how to measure this kind of innovation, because this is really, I think, the study which thankfully for sharing this with me before the show, actually reveals a lot of information that we want to discuss. But can you explain to me, because today we are a dilemma. Let me just give you what's that dilemma. If I am, let's say we have a team and we are working, some in the office, some remote. The experience when we were all remote, we have the unified experience. But we are in a mixed emotion. People, they have to interact remotely and physically. Still, there is something to be done there. What do you think?
I mean, there is a lot of work already being done, right? So that's transition from home to office in terms of your work has always been a place of friction, right? So, when you're in the office, there's a certain way of doing things. When you're outside, you got to use VPNs, you got to use all kinds of passwords, all kinds of things that hamper productivity. And our job, many years ago, we started on this journey of how can we reduce that friction for employees moving from office to home, moving from mobile phone to a laptop, from different types of devices. Because our idea when we started this journey was, how do we make employee experience be seamless, no matter where employee is, no matter where employee is working from, what kind of device he's using. And we've come a long way. some of our customers know this, but if you want to see it, we have it live on demo here at Jitex. We can show you how this whole thing works. But the idea is to remove technology from the thoughts and the eyes of the
as
employees.
Removed as a barrier.
And just make it seamless, make it easy for employees to access the customer data, do their work, or work with documents, share documents, collaborate without getting IT and security getting in the way and hampering that productivity, right? Because every time you get a prompt for a password, every time you gotta accept a certificate, it stops you from, maybe you had an idea, I had to do something, you wanted to send an email, you wanted to collaborate with somebody, this thing pops in, you cannot log in for 5 minutes, you forget what you were supposed to do, you're late for something, and then it hampers productivity. We want to avoid this.
Yeah, so that's where I want to refer to the study that you shared with me, Stephen, which is related to the measures and means that we are putting to measure the performance and the innovation.
Right.
And the study reveals that 97 of the organizations, they're adopting this hybrid model, and they are now for anywhere, let's say work from anywhere. They're actually having means in place compared to people who are actually in the office for measuring the performance and innovation.
Right.
So 97 versus 83, it's really, that means that people who are actually making a conscious decision that when I want to provide the flexibility, but still they have to maintain the innovation. And they were discussion around, is it around satisfaction, around innovation pipeline, new products, quality of products, quality of services. So what's your thought on this one?
It's I think it's very interesting because it shows one thing is, first you got to trust people. You're hiring the people, you're paying them top dollar, you got the best talent. You need to trust this talent that they will do their work. And, in general, we all have busy lives. We have kids, they have to be picked up from school, dropped off, they fall down, they need to be taken to a doctor. So when we have the best talent and they're flexible to work from home and from office, it enhances the productivity of people because now they have the flexibility to take care of their family. They can connect whenever they want. They are not stressed about what they're missing out in their family life, in their social lives. And I think overall, if you have this setup, employee experience brings the employee happiness. Yes. And happy employees will provide you the best work.
And happy customers, right?
And happy customers, yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, one thing which is you mentioned, which is around the talent in the beginning of the discussion, which is, yes, if I'm a developer, if I'm someone which is, maybe I have my own moments that are really with the peak of my performance and ability to deliver. So, in the study, really a number that, catch my eyes, which is 53 of professionals, they said, if I don't have that flexibility, I will not even consider to join that organization.
Absolutely.
This is really, a shift in the mindset of people that this is becoming an essential part. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, this is, every generation is different. The new generation.
We're not old, huh?
Yeah, we're let's say we were a generation between. We were very much motivated by money, but as well some flexibility, right? The new generation is interesting is they care more about the values of the company and the way the company operates more than the compensation itself, which is strange. In a lot of cases, in a lot of companies, compensation was the most important motivation factor for you to join an organization. Today, that's not the case. So, when we hire people, I interview a lot of graduates coming out of university, and that when you ask them a question, do you want to find something more about the company? They ask you about what's your work from home policy. How many days a week are you flexible? How does that work? What's your values around diversity and inclusion? How do you have activities in the office, social clubs, gym, yoga studio, all these kind of things. These are the things that employees now are looking at as more, and that ties into employee experience and the office experience and work from home experience more than the compensation itself. So if we think, we'll pay the people the top dollar and we'll bring the best talent from all over the world, but we'll make them work from office. If they don't want to, they will leave. regardless of the compensation, because maybe they want flexibility, maybe they're most productive and they'll provide the biggest return if they're flexible. And I think it's important that we think about that, we are conscious about that, and provide that flexibility.
So, Sivan, we know that recently we announced Anywhere Workspace is something, it comes with the new innovations.
Right.
We have AI integrated to it, and we broaden the scope of what's going to be included.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the questions that we are having, can you just share with our viewers, our listeners, really what are the new innovations that we bring into this platform that is already exists and it's really going through further and further evolution and enhancement?
Sure. So we always, when we develop our solution, we put forward a vision where we want to be. Okay, and the vision that we put up for this year is called autonomous workspace. Okay, so think about a workspace is a set of tools and different things that are invisible to the users, to the employees, but they help them access their work resources, apps, data, and so on. Now, the difference with autonomous workspace is a lot of the things that IT used to do in the background is now autonomous, which means we use AI to predict the behavior of employees so that we can provide them the best employee experience, right? We use as well self-healing so that if there is an issue, let's say, I'll give you an example, employees, traveling for work, he's at the airport and his email is slow or his application is not loading, the automation aspect of the workspace will predict this happening based on the Wi-Fi connection, based on the network aspects, and we'll from there detect, okay, this employee got the access to this app, let's reverse that decision, let's push the old version of the app that we know was working while he's connected, and that way the employee will not even have to call IT or call anybody from the company to be able to do their work. And that's the autonomous self-healing aspect of the digital workspace. Another big thing that we are working on is focusing specifically on frontline workers, right? So, we talk a lot about employees working in offices, what we call knowledge-based workers like we are, but a huge amount of workforce is what we call frontline workers. So these are your, the taxi drivers, delivery drivers, people working in warehouses, really the heroes of the pandemic, if you think about it, the guys that saved us, okay? They have IT needs as well, right? They have their apps, they have their devices, but nobody was really worrying about how do they experience technology. And we thought, let's focus on this. Let's make sure that those guys are treated equally and are provided the best end user experience, same as knowledge-based workers. And that means that, and you have to remember, from the beginning, they're being hired. These people, they don't have laptops, desktops, or anything like this, right? They use mobile phones as the primary computing device, right? So being able to hire and go through the recruitment process over the phone, things like booking the interview, informing the future employee about the steps of the recruitment process, giving the contract for signature, all being done digitally over the phone, and then onboarding that employee, providing training, providing enablement, and exiting the whole, let's say, the full employee life cycle done for frontline workers can be done from anywhere workspace from VMware, and that's something that we are really proud of, and it's very unique in the market, and there's a huge opportunity for us. So if you have those use cases, please give us a shout.
So Sivan, really appreciate. I know this topic is very close to each heart and mind, because it touches each and every one, because we are working and we would like to have that flexibility, that experience with that. So really thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And also for our viewers and listeners, they can have a taste of that one just going to the online material that you're going to provide. In addition, if they are on visiting GITEX on stage, they can really come and experience this on the field, talk to the experts. So Sivan, Thank you so much for being with us. Really, pleasure as usual. And this is very important topic that touches our hearts, all that we are, working in the field. So thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
For our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. Now we're gonna jump to the next topic, which is the core of, we are providing the foundation for the applications, and applications there are the means of engaging and engaging with the business, getting the services, getting really what we want. And for that transition, this world is really going through major changes and shifts, and how to deliver agility, new technologies, the AI, and the speed that we need really to be able to deliver and match the business needs there. So with that, we'll have Salvatore as well as Shada with us. They're gonna really take us through this change together. So stay tuned. In 2 minutes, we're gonna hook them up, and they're gonna be live with you. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned. Don't go away. Thank you. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rashid Al-Amari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai at GITEX 2023. Before the break, we were telling you the importance of the subject that we're going to go through, which is the application acceleration, and how this is really important into our life, our business, because this is the way we are interacting with any services or anything that we want to do in life moving forward. Now with that, and without further ado, I would like to introduce the experts on the field. You know, Salvatore and Shada, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rashid.
Thank you.
So, you know, like Shada and Salvatore, we know this is second time or third time we host you also in, you know, in Hawaii as well for a different kind of podcast. So I would like just introduce yourself to the audience. They are from different parts of the world. They are from Switzerland, Turkey, Spain, Italy, name it, Philippines, Far East, Malaysia, Africa, just they are from everywhere. So could you please introduce Luis Salvador and Shada to them?
Yes, of course. Thanks, Rashid. I'm Salvatore Incandela. I'm the manager of solution engineer of Tanzu.
Okay.
So the solution engineer that look after the customer needs to modernize their application and build the right solution for them.
Shada?
And I partner with Sal. My name is Shada Hamid, and I lead the sales team for application modernization for VMware, Middle East, Turkey, Africa.
A big mission, right?
Yeah.
With a big mission. So, you know, like the topic, we know that today we cannot live without, you know, like interacting with the services, and the only means we got this through the applications, right? Either it's been on a mobile, it's been on disks, or maybe wherever we go, it's the application is the front line that we deal with, right? And now with all the new innovation is coming, we, you know, like, you know, the GITEX motto was everything is AI, right? And expect AI to be everywhere. So with that, it's still people perception that they are not at the speed into that journey of acceleration and transformation and application. Can you just give us your hint? What is the state of application at this point of time in the industry?
I'll take this question, Rashid. It's very interesting you mentioned AI because, you know, applications have gone through major transformation across the past few decades, right?
Yeah.
We went from PC applications to mobile and to now AI, and each stage of transformation brought in something to the industry, to the business. And, you know, I was reading the other day, I think it was Gartner that mentioned in 2020, 5% of applications had some sort of AI enabled in it, and I think by next year, 2024, it's going to be around 40%. Right? This puts a lot of pressure on businesses and IT for them to be able to pick up the pace and let's say accelerate that application innovation. And I think where we are right now is a lot of our customers are trying to find their way in this area. And I think one of the most important things for IT right now is to make sure that they do proper whiteboarding with the business on requirements of the application, plans for the growth of the application, requirements for application portability, let's say the what else, compliance and governance, etc. Just make sure that you sit on the drawing board with the business for as much time as you need for you to capture the right requirements before you transition into execution. However, the second part of the process, which is equally important, is to build a proper software supply chain that is continuously moving. It's never stopping for you to be able to deliver time to value, especially in an increasingly multi-cloud universe.
Okay, so thank you, Shada, for just giving this our umbrella of the really what's happening in the industry. And also now maybe Salvatore can give us add more color from really deep technical. Your hands are, I know that they are dirty with all of this day and night. You have your own labs. I know you have Eureka times. When you are home. So really, what is happening? So we have all the practices that we've been saying, which Shada mentioned before, and now they are evolving. We have the DevSecOps, we have all this so on, but really, what is happening? Why that pace of change is not being as expected? Or maybe I'm wrong, what is happening on the challenges that are being faced, the developers, the programmers going through that journey?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Rashid. I will mention two reports I think will help us go through this through this question. And one is the State of Kubernetes. We released like 2023 survey across the globe on all our customers, and then the other one is State of Spring. Of course, it's not specific for AI, but it's always around like how we develop software, whatever can be AI or Java application for other use case. The main challenge that we can see in those reports is that there is a trend to go multi-cloud, but there are challenges to keep the pace, to govern those multi-cloud environments. So what we did to help the customer here is we build an offering specific for this that can give this one governance model to the customer to build the future-proof platform that can host every kind of workloads, can be AI or whatever. Another point is that the skills. I think skills are very important. State of Spring highlights that developers need to level up their knowledge around microservices or other technologies. So we released an academy around Spring development that is still the main Java framework to develop microservices application. So I think these are the two main pillars, like uplift the skill of the developers and the people, and choose the right tooling to govern this multi-cloud and complex environment we are going through.
So I want to just thinking loud of what's happening in GITEX. Now you can see now the AI differently, and we know that in VMware we talk about the private AI and what have you. So if I will be adding the complexity for developing not just only a normal logic of an application, I need now to do LLMs, I need to do machine learning, AI-based application, which requires a lot of resources. And now, can you see this is becoming a barrier for developers when they want to get access to, because not just only writing the code, you need to test it, you need to model it, you need to machine learn it. So what you see in the field from an expert lens here?
So AI started as a big trend, of course, for like big players, like as a centralized service. Now we see that there is a trend of companies that are looking for a good starting point. I mean, a good pre-trained model that they can use on-prem, and I'm referring to high regulated industries or like public administration, for example. So the challenge here is not only to adopt from day zero the AI on-prem, which VMware released and announced in Las Vegas, a new VMware private AI offering, but it's also how we can industrialize the process, as we did in the past with microservices and container. So the challenges are the same. We need to adopt AI, but we need to govern the process. So there should be a supply chain management, and we are here to help, because we have a solution that can help customers go through this path and govern this AI development.
Okay. So with that, Shada, in mind, like the capacity building and the skill sets, and I know you are doing a lot of activity in the field. We're also participating in DevSlam, right?
Correct.
And also there are initiatives that you are taking personally with the team, just to say how you can be out of the reach, at least to remove the knowledge barrier, right? Mm-hmm. And then it will become the skill barrier, which is the participants or the professions, they have to go through that way. So can you tell us really how you can help the customer navigate through this, especially from your capacity as a leader of this region, what you are doing just really to get them, push them to get out of that knowledge barrier?
Look, skills have always, we're in a very much evolving technology or field, right? Technology is very demanding in terms of capabilities, skill set, etc. And there's always a shortage when it comes to really good, very well skilled people, because it's a continuously evolving world. Obviously, application modernization is not the anomaly of this rule. We see our customers, one of the first things when we start talking to customers, partners, we notice that they need someone to help them and handhold them when it comes to enabling their team. Where do we get started? I think it's a multi-stage approach for us, right? Because you can do the curriculum kind of education. We can train you on Spring. We can train you on, Kubernetes. We can train you on how to operate or develop. But I think it's very important as well to add the practical aspect to it, which is where our labs team comes in place, and they basically handhold and shadow customers to help them with different parts of the process, be it from a platform engineering perspective, or be it from application development perspective, or be it if the customer's goal is to transform a monolithic application into a cloud native application. So this is where our team comes in play, where we can partner with customers, we enable them, they shadow us, or we partner with them, and then they go on to continue to modernize the rest of their applications. So I guess it's not one size fit all, but we have different solutions to enable different customers. I don't know if that answers
No,
your
no,
question.
perfectly. And this is where we get also leeway to Salvador to say, so Salvador, just can you give us, because we have also our viewers online, they're saying, okay, can you just share with us really what VMware can deliver in that space, So what solutions that we are offering for developers as well, through that cycle of application lifecycle management?
That's a very very good question. So I will go a little bit more in detail. In the last few months, we've seen the needs of like the companies to focus more on the time to value, like optimize the time to value. So what the industry is working on is like the rise of developer portals. So there are a lot of good open source projects to start with, but what we did, we built our offering on top of this open source project, and I'm mentioning Backstage. And on top of Backstage, we released a Tons application platform. Tons application platform is basically the starting point for a developer to be onboarded into the business domain of the company, to be fast to start developing the microservices and to focus and optimize the time to value. And that will be crucial because the demand of microservices in the application is skyrocketing, of course. But as you were saying, there are some challenges to keep the pace of the innovation, and we need to be focused to leave these developers focus on the code. So that's what Tons application platform is helping to. And we need those developers to be focused on the code and not focusing or doing some mistakes around security aspects, for example. So where I get those containers, where is my starting point? VMware is providing a catalog of container image that are hardened by us and are ready to use for developers to have a good starting point that will not compromise the security posture of the customer.
So Salvador and also Shada, how do you see this happening with this development and now also the multi-cloud dimension angle to it? Because developers, they used to go, they have their own tools, they have different things, and to be able to streamline it as well to become enterprise grade, because they want to go to production, they need to be really secured and monitored and governed by the whatever compliance and the processes that they have. Really, what is your advice for them in getting into that space? How it should give them still the flexibility, but at the same time give them that kind of governance and the framework that will be still compliant and they will deliver with the same speed and agility, or even to expedite that?
Maybe I'll take the first part of it and hand it over to Sal. It's very interesting. As you mentioned, like developers, we like to try things, right? It's fun. It's so much fun, right? But the most important thing for you when you build an enterprise application that's supposed to serve the business is, I'll take you to my first point, is the drawing board. Making sure that you collect the right requirements. So for instance, if your application has a part in it where the data cannot sit on the cloud, you need to make sure that the developer understands this. Otherwise, they might end up in a situation where they may end up rebuilding again to bring it back on-prem and vice versa, right? It just depends on the industry. So again, go back to the drawing board. That's one thing. The other thing is make sure that you partner with an entity or an organization that's able to provide you with a 360 holistic view that will enable you to cover all aspects, business, process, and technology, because you really need to cover all aspects, not just focus on one aspect and neglect the rest. I think this is from a business perspective, and I'll leave the technical part of the question as well for Sal, because I think he'll be able to add a lot more value in it than me.
Thank you, Shaz. I will reply, let's say, with 2 points. One is people and process, and I will refer this to there is a book that is talking about this. It's called Team Topologies, that outline what the company needs to build in terms of people and process, like a platform team that is stable, is able to provide to their first customer. The first customer of the platform team are developers, actually. The best of breed from the technology, ready to use to deploy across the different clouds. And developers need to be able to deploy their application across the cloud without perceiving even the difference of the environment. That's the developer experience we build, basically. The developers can deploy here or there different clouds. They don't get the difference, okay? They have a common interface, let's say. And on the other hand, imagine you have an IT operation team dealing with 100 Kubernetes cluster across the globe. Okay, okay? And then you need to define a security policy, and you need to apply each of the cluster this policy. Imagine you have one single point, like in which you can define this policy, and it will be our solution to take care of being like applying this security policy across the globe. That's the story of our customer. That's the story of one of the customers that was at the stage in Las Vegas telling about how much they are more efficient with Tanzu solutions to go through this multi-cloud journey.
Well, I know that there are so many things, like this topic, we cannot just put it like in 10, 15 minutes of discussion. So, I would like you to address to the let's say viewers and listeners, and even though for the ones who are going to be physically coming to the ground, what to expect when they come and see you in DevIslam as well here in the booth. So can you tell them what the experience that you want them to go through?
Okay, I will say on DevSlam, we are showing a lot of interesting content around the Spring Framework and Tanzu application platform. So we are going to show them what are the news we released around the Spring Academy, Spring Consulting, and Spring Framework, because there are a lot of efficiencies on the infrastructure we can do with the new version of Spring. I'm talking about different factors of optimization in the microservice architecture, and Tanzu application platform. That's the topic I just explained to you. And here we are showing as well Tanzu application platform, and don't forget data for AI, because we have Greenplum, that is perfect solution for vector database and AI workload on-prem or across the clouds. So that's key points in my opinion.
Key point. Shada, for your viewers and customers, if you want to address something to them to embrace the change and just to really challenge the status quo, what do you say to them?
Just be open-minded. The learning never ends. And let us talk to you about what we can do to help you and to add value to your business. And if you find it valuable, we'd love to partner with you. We have the tools and the capabilities
and
the
experts.
know-how. And we have the experts. They're very keen to speak to you.
Okay. So thank you, Shada and Salvador, for being with us today. We know that you have so many things to say, so many things to show. And like what you said, seeing is believing. So for our colleagues, for our viewers, for our listeners, for the people visiting GITEX, and if you are not planning to visit GITEX, please come and visit GITEX, yeah? And go to DevIslam, let's say, we'll see the things in action as well. Engage with the experts, because really they will enlighten you, they'll give you ideas on how to navigate through this. And something, sometimes it needs that push just to make that ball rolling, and I think the teams there are experts and they can do it to you. Thank you, Shada and Salvador, for being with us today. Looking forward to really host you on another episodes. Hopefully we're going to see also Bansharona as well in Explore. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
For our viewers and listeners, stay tuned. Now we're going to have a really lineup of experts as well. We're going to talk about some regional dynamics, as well maybe an extraordinary guest, which is not expected to a tech show, but stay tuned, we'll reveal it, like in 15 minutes. Thank you for being with us. Stay tuned, we'll get back to you in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
growing inspiration and gaining insight. With the lineup of seasoned and industry leaders, we are here to ignite fresh ideas and provide clarity. Whether you are in a metro, sipping coffee, or at your desk, we are here with you, guiding every step. Richard Quest once said, "A quest means business." Well, here at Podcast with Rashid, it's not just business, it's business and technology. Feeling lost, confused about making the right technology decision for your business? I'm Rashid, and I have been where you are. Join me on Podcast with Rashid. Let's untangle the complex together, growing inspiration and gaining insight.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al-Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai GITEX 23. Today we're having Natalia. She's the Senior Vice President of Schneider, the Secure Power Division of Schneider Electric. So Natalia, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for inviting Rashid.
Thank you. So Natalia, just for our listeners and viewers around the globe, can you tell them who's Natalia?
Okay. So I'm responsible for the Zone International. I'm based in Dubai, and I'm also responsible for what we call is secure power. So the power, whatever connected with data center infrastructure, but also ensuring the secure power for industrial enterprises, universities, and many other things, including the healthcare. And I'm covering the region from East Asia, Japan, Pacific, yes, India, Middle East and Africa, and South America. So that's my zone of responsibility, and we call it international.
Yeah, and we know Schneider, you are leader in that space. So can you tell us more on the Schneider Electric and your division, really what you are offering to the market?
Okay, well, you know, the slogan of Schneider for a number of years have been "Life is on," with a symbol of energy, right? Pressing the electricity and energy available.
Okay.
And it might be very strange for us being in UAE with all the power and electricity around to imagine that in some countries in Africa, 4 out of 5 people do not have access to electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the purpose of Schneider is to make sure that everyone in the world
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al-Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai GITEX 23. Today we're having Natalia. She's the Senior Vice President of Schneider, the Secure Power Division of Schneider Electric. So Natalia, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for inviting Rashid.
Thank you. So Natalia, just for our listeners and the viewers around the globe, can you tell them who's Natalia?
Okay. So I'm responsible for the Zone International. I'm based in Dubai, and I'm also responsible for what we call is secure power. So the power, whatever connected with data center infrastructure, but also ensuring the secure power for industrial enterprises, universities, and many other things, including the healthcare. And I'm covering the region from East Asia, Japan, Pacific, yes, India, Middle East and Africa, and South America. So that's my zone of responsibility, and we call it international.
Yeah, and we know Schneider, you are leader in that space. So can you tell us more on the Schneider Electric and your division, really what you are offering to the market?
Okay, well, you know, the slogan of Schneider for a number of years have been "Life is on," with a symbol of energy, right? Pressing the electricity and energy available.
Okay.
And it might be very strange for us being in UAE with all the power and electricity around to imagine that in some countries in Africa, 4 out of 5 people do not have access to electricity. So what is the purpose of Schneider is to make sure that everyone in the world will have electricity access, and we will all have safe and efficient usage of electricity all around the world. We're also helping people to access the data, to store the data, to process the data through using our data center infrastructure. And also, what is super important, and that's where Schneider has been nominated as one of the top companies in the world, is sustainability.
Yes, and this is the topic. So when you think power and sustainability, sometimes how you want to balance between them. So how in Schneider you manage really to get that balance of sustainability to the point?
Okay, well, we have two things. We as Schneider ourselves focus a lot on sustainability. We have developed a special program also for our data centers, which we published, which is called 67, White Paper 67, where we define 5 categories and 23, let's say, KPIs, okay, or parameters, which the data center can use. It is focused on different type of data centers, and it starts with water, right, and waste for the just beginning data centers, which start thinking about the future, and ending with biodiversity, because it is a huge impact which we have by using electricity and using natural resources. I don't know if you're aware, but data center all over the globe account for 2% of CO2 emission. So, you know, and the energy consumption is huge.
I got to know, Natalia, that data centers, we just also have a similar study. You know, it's if you combine data center around the world, I think it's after China and the US and China, then the data center as the third largest countries when it comes to the energy, let's say like consumption as well, the carbon dioxide emission, which is in line exactly to what you're saying.
1.5% of energy consumption is data center.
Okay.
But it's not that bad, because if you look into the past couple of years, the data 20 times increased, while the energy consumption of data centers has increased only by 6%.
Wow.
So we are already focusing a lot on being efficient and really thinking about how to make best usage of electricity. You know, that we have lots of software solutions, you know, that we can use RIP or RIP, what we call, or ETAP, when we just build a data center to ensure that it will be really sustainable and will allow the company to have all the data on the level of their sustainability. But if you look also into other things, like we have now what we say smart adaptive grid. What we say smart adaptive grid is that the customer, the owner of the smart adaptive grid, can say, okay, I want to be sustainable, but that's amount of resources I can still use, right?
Yeah.
So now I want to focus more on sustainability, use still more resources at the moment. Well, I will tell later how we can still save with the timing, but at the moment, right? And then I put, let's say, the line here, and then my system automatically will adapt. So all my grid around will be adaptive, all my power will be adaptive. And now I want to focus even more on sustainability, and then I will move a little bit cursor and I choose what I want to do. So it's part of artificial intellect which we are using to support the customers to make their choice.
So Natalia, we know that the need for more power, meaning like more compute power, storage power, data centers around the globe, because of what's happening in AI, in the cloud, what name it. So that will not stop. I think it will increase more and more. Now the question also in managing these data centers, which is like what you say, how we're going to be green and sustainable and be efficient. Are you working with ecosystem partners just to, because you know, like there are active components who's going to be sitting in these data centers, like with software vendors and what have you. So that supply chain of whatever stacks that exist, it needs to be all work in harmony to deliver on the sustainability agenda. What's your take on this?
Okay, let me say a few words. First of all, we also think that as energy consumption will increase, we focus a lot on renewable energy.
Okay.
That's where we also work a lot, and we really support the countries like Africa, where I said the renewable energy becomes a priority very often because they don't have access to other type of energy. And the target of African continent is to have 330 watt of renewable energy in the nearest years, which is led now by South Africa and followed by Egypt and Morocco. But as Schneider, we also have certain KPIs for our suppliers. All our top suppliers are following our, let's say, requirement for sustainability. For example, we are no longer using plastic, and we try to use the refurbished carbon for the packaging of our goods. Also, we have certain requirement towards our suppliers. As to the software, we are very big in software, which might be unlikely to many other companies. As I was mentioning, like RIP, ETAP, and maybe you heard about Aviva, one of the largest. This is all Schneider companies, right? We will keep the name. And we also have what we used to call process automation and industrial automation. So we have a whole division, which is called software division, which allows us to provide to the end customer everything, starting from managing the power up to the level of electricity, managing the smart building, making all this data, your data center infrastructure, but also providing preventive maintenance and sometimes online repair as well, so that the customer will have no issue. Because you know that about 60% of electricity is lost. 60%. Imagine that, how much efficiency we can make. And the software, combining all of that, not only software for infrastructure of the data center, but combining grid and combining buildings, all together we have all the complex solution. If we talk about data centers, but we can also talk about industrial companies, and that's where Aviva plays a lot of role to support the industrial customers with the software as well. So we are not only products, we are plus software.
And now, just because, for example, if I am a data center, let's say like owner, I'm gonna be hosting equipments like, I don't know, Cisco, Aruba, Juniper, what have you, HP, IBM, Lenovo, what have you. So are you working with these partners just to make sure that they are also get the efficiency that you are aiming for?
We have very good relationship. Cisco is one of our key partners, as well as Dell and HP and many other vendors. And very soon we will be talking about our joint agreement with Cisco. We will have a nice project already launched, so we are looking into developing this type of projects, also focusing on efficiency, on data center analysis and all other things with that. But what is important, whatever equipment you put, we are vendor agnostic. We do not make software which will work only with our equipment. What we do, we are vendor agnostic, because our main focus is really on providing the tools to become more efficient, to become more sustainable, because the world is growing very fast. We expect even higher internet traffic. We talk about large data centers like a cloud, but also what we see now is that edge data centers, and it is spreading all over. So imagine if you do not find a way of saving the energy, of really using it more efficiently, we will really can collapse.
And the control, because as you can say now, we have data center which is, you know, like in precise locations, you can apply all the governance and you control around. But once you go in a proliferated model, which is going to be everywhere, this is where I think efficiency is going to be needed, because the order of magnitude is going to be in hundreds, thousands, and hundreds of thousands of microsites that are going to be in each and every country.
And for that, we again have a solution, because our software allows to monitor and on, let's say, a real base, immediate base, all the, let's say, places you have your small edge data center solutions, and to have it in one place where you will receive all data immediately, and you can also maintain and do proactive maintenance and service or whatever online, and manage as many data centers or edge data centers, let's call small data centers.
And so Natalia, just one dimension which we need to discuss, you know, like each countries, they have ambition around digital transformation, right? And we know in certain countries they have boundaries of limitation of carbon dioxide emission, which is sometimes limit them from expanding on data center. They will have the money, but they will reach out their capacity or limits when the carbon dioxide on the emission. So I'm just putting what you said in the context, in like if we manage to optimize, then they will be able to accelerate into their journey. So what's your take on
What
this?
you're referring to sounds very much like Singapore, that for a number of years, Singapore was not allowing exactly to expand the data center base because they were controlling CO2 emissions. Now you can go with data center expansion if it is tier 4. That means you really have all the sustainability parameters in hand and your impact on nature is minimized in this case. But I can tell you that we are now in Middle East, right? We are in UAE.
Yes.
UAE, Saudi,
Yes.
and many other countries of the Middle East have taken a decision, like Qatar as well, to follow the Paris Agreement on sustainability and environment protection. And each of them have it as a strategy of the government.
Yes.
So that's where it is also very important. But I wanted to say one thing, and it is, when you talk about sustainability, many people think you only invest money because we want to protect environment. We definitely want to protect environment. And 2023 was the hottest summer ever. That's what
Around
was
the globe,
recorded around the globe.
Yes.
Imagine that means we are really having the temperature raised, and we wanted to limit to 1.5 till 2025 and then reduce it by 43%. So people think, okay, we need to invest money. But I tell you, being efficient also gives you a lot of money saving.
Okay.
And we have lots of projects also with UAE University where we help them with our software to become more efficient. But also we have in Tunisia project, and we have in South Africa mining project. All of these companies have not only invested, but they have got their return very, very quickly because they have managed to become more than 20% more efficient and save up on the costs.
Definitely. So sustainability is something for the generations to come, but also for businesses that they can do savings, they can do even though fueling their digital, let's say, transformation. And I think as a response to this, even though in this region we are in a couple of maybe a month or so, we're going to have COP28, right?
Absolutely.
And also last year it was also in Egypt to COP27. So I think the agenda, if you look at the sustainability agenda on the governments and around this region, is really, they take it seriously. And I think they are doing, we're seeing the solar power generation, alternative power, using different methods, like engaging. And I think in our region here, we are also taking a spearhead when it comes to, let's say, being at that cutting edge. Although we are, the carbon energy producers, but at the same time, everybody is looking at maybe alternative in nuclear energy, solar energy, in like different types
wind
of
energy as well.
energy.
So solar energy should be very good. I know there's a high interest from UAE as well as Saudi because having these opportunities, right? And I'm sure you will very quickly catch up with Africa and Pacific, where Australia is focusing a lot on alternative ways of energy. Alternative ways of energy are really important, as well as being efficient with using the energy. Another thing which is important is to analyze the data, and that's why we focus a lot on artificial intellect, because you know that it was very interesting study where they say 40% of the data stored is never used.
Wow.
You make your fun video, send it to your friends and forget about it, but it's stored somewhere, and that's something where artificial intellect can really bring a lot of also savings, because if you keep only really reliable and important data, then you can also save on this one, as well as having a saving on the data as well.
Perfect. So Natalie, just in a closing remark, really super excited to host you here. We have the viewers and listeners around the globe, and they are listening to Natalia, the expert on the field, the leader on the field for within Schneider Secure Power. So what you will address message to them? They are the data center managers. They are the guys who want to take control in their sustainability agenda. What you want to address to them?
Okay, my address will be, we are here live here for our future generations. Sustainability is not just the world, and sustainability can be really achieved through what we call energy 4.0. That means we bring energy and efficiency together through digitization and strategization and decarbonization. That's what the things can be done. And as I already gave my example, investing does not mean your investment will not be paid off. It will be paid off by also your image as a company, but also by the savings you can get by doing the proper things.
So Natalie, thank you so much for being with us. Really, you enlighten us and they also remind us of the important angle of sustainability, saving our planet Earth for the coming generation, and also fueling the transformation that each nations they have to go. Still, we can do it. We can enjoy all this utilization of the technology at the same time saving the planet as well saving money. Thank you, Natalie, for being with us today. Thank you. I appreciate it with us. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rashid Al-Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai at GITEX 2023. Now with this session, we have a very, very special guest. A guest who's actually sitting on another continent, but then he also will persisted that we'll have this with our show. Without further ado, I really would like to introduce Steve Roos, who's the Vice President of the Middle East at U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, Rashid, thank you so much. And I'm really, really delighted to be with you. It's amazing to see what's happening there in the background with GITEX. It looks like it's buzzing with activity. And I want to thank you for offering the opportunity to join remotely from Washington, D.C. on your podcast today. And so thank you and VMware for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. And I know it's early morning, and I hope that you have the coffee, and this is really been ignited with that cup of coffee in the early cold morning in Washington.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it without my coffee. So you're right. I'm glad to get a good jump on the day, get ahead of my work. So this podcast is helping prompt me and getting me ahead before I actually get a flight later today and come out to Riyadh. So I'll just be around the corner from you then.
Thank you, Steve. So again, good morning, and really very glad to host you on the show. Just Steve, we have audience from around the globe and our viewers, and they've been listening to us. We have people from Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, China. We have it from Australia, from the UK, from Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland, from all parts of the world, from the Middle East, from Africa, and they are all eager and they are participating to understand exactly what's happening in GITEX, as well to get the insights and to hear from the experts. With that, we're going to give them the opportunity to really meet Steve. And Steve, just to introduce himself to the wider, to the global audience that we have here over our podcast. So Steve, to you.
Rashid, thank you. And that's amazing to hear. And, GITEX and what you're doing with this podcast, it doesn't surprise me at all. The UAE is a global destination. And the fact that your podcast is pulling in this global audience to learn about GITEX and what's happening there doesn't surprise me at all. But kudos, and congrats on that. Steve Lutz, I've been at the U.S. Chamber since 2007, and I came over to the U.S. Chamber from the U.S. government. I worked at the U.S. Department of Commerce, oftentimes which gets mistaken for the Chamber of Commerce, but at the Department of Commerce, that's all government, and it's all working, to again advance U.S. business, but from the government perspective. And before that, I worked in the United States Congress for two different members of Congress from where I actually grew up. Very local experience. I got involved in politics at a very young age, and that passion carried through to college and then became a career. But in 2007, I said, you know what, I want to make the jump from government, to business. So I moved over to the U.S. Chamber, where I've had the really good fortune, to work on behalf of U.S. business, U.S. industry for all of those years. And specifically, another passion of mine working to bring U.S. business to the Middle East in a deeper way, in a broader way, and to really grow that relationship when it comes to the economic pillar.
So thank you, Steve, for this. And definitely, we have viewers and listeners. They say, can you just enlighten us more on what is the role of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in really igniting the business and their mission in the region?
Now, it's a great question, and it's one that if you're sitting somewhere in the United States, you know the U.S. Chamber as your advocate on Capitol Hill or with the U.S. government. But Rashid, something that's not well known, the biggest part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is our international division. So I happen to be vice president for Middle East, but we also have counterparts who cover Asia, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and all of those counterparts and myself, we're working to grow investment, trade, all of that commercial activity between the United States and in the Middle East in my case. You know, so my what I get up and what drives me every day, and the question that I have to respond to is, what am I doing today, you know, to help U.S. companies either grow their investment, grow their trade, grow their commerce in the UAE, in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq, all around the Middle East. And a lot of that, Rashid, ends up us as the U.S. Chamber talking to governments across the region about their policy and regulatory environment. Are they setting themselves up for success? Are they creating that environment that welcomes investment, that's going to attach themselves and have the policy that's going to grow trade? You know, so those are a lot of the conversations we're having.
Yeah. And Steve, you know, you witness and you are a veteran in this field that the Middle East and GITEX is really a sentiment of what's happening, are in the spearhead of adapting technology into the transformation. Transformation not only at the technology level, but at social, different, all fronts of life is really changing to adapt and to be modern as well, to be digitized and have you. In this kind of nation transformation that we are feeling in the UAE, in the Saudi, in Egypt, all part of the Middle East, you know, how you see this happening and what is the role that you are playing in actually facilitating and igniting this, knowing also that the US and the US companies like us and other, let's say, like giants, they are also the spearhead of the innovation. So how you bring these two worlds together?
You know, well, one thing that's fascinating, setting even the business and commercial interest aside, you have this convergence. You know, when you think about it, Rashid, you have such a young population across the Middle East, right where you're sitting there in the UAE or Saudi or Egypt, as you mentioned. So you have this large youth population, which, you know, makes them early adopters. You know, there's such a huge gaming population all across the Middle East, or, you know, they're the first to be using, you know, a lot of the digital finance and the apps, you know, that you use to conduct business or personal transactions.
Yes.
As you talked about and articulated well, you know, it's really across all of society, all of a person's life. This digital transformation is impacting not only the way you do business, but the way people are living and being educated. You know, just going about their lives on a daily basis. So you have that, and because it's such a young population, you know, again, it's just really mushrooming across the region. And then you marry that with the leading U.S. companies that are often innovating and bringing these new technologies to the market globally. So you have what is a pretty significant marriage, you know, of a welcoming population, welcoming businesses, and a young energy. Marry that with, you know, the best in class when it comes to innovation and bringing new technology to the globe, and you have a pretty picture of a future. And I think it's so exciting, you know, to see, you know, the countries across the Middle East adopting these technologies and being at the tip of the spear, as you said, of the digital transformation. Now, the big question for us is, you know, are the governments across the region then adopting the right policies and regulations that allow these technologies and these innovations to flourish? That's where the rubber meets the road, as they say.
And exactly, Steve, this was actually, thank you for, that's my was really next question, because thinking of that change, definitely like technology is faster, we can easily deploy it, adopt it. But when it comes to policies, regulations, as ways of compliance and governing what's happening, so that they maintain, like the sovereignty, they maintain also the integrity of the operations and what have you. This is something which is, even though to bring foreign investments, to bring so many things, that's all, it goes hand in hand and needs to combine the technology with the mindset, as well with the policies and the right, let's say, laws and regulation in that space. So what you are doing really to help that, because you've been maybe sometimes ahead of the curve when it comes to in that thought process, and say, okay, how you can take it and bring it and adapt it to the region to serve its own mission, so that it can have that like parallel tracks going together. So what's your thoughts and the reflection on this?
That's Rashid, that's a excellent, those are so important points, excellent observation. When you think about it, it is absolutely vital that at the end of the day, and that investment to flow.
Yes.
At the same time, as you said, we understand that there's really important considerations when it comes to, sovereignty and protecting and things of this nature. But these are questions that governments across the globe are grappling with. And really, I would commend many of the governments across the region, I would say, for taking the right approach on a lot of these issues. One thing that we see, when it comes to these things, is data governance. Questions about cross-border data flows, for example, are so important. In the UAE, they took this on, and they've developed a data law that I think is been well received, by the business community.
Yes.
And it is allowing for just all the things that you just talked about. Where in Saudi Arabia, where I'll be traveling to later today, again, I would commend them, because Rashid, they took the time to say, we're going to talk to industry, we're going to talk to stakeholders, and try to understand what the Saudi personal data protection law means. So yes, it's been a process of nearly 3 years of developing this law, but to the credit of the Saudi government, I would say, they talked to industry. So they would come out with new drafts, new versions of the regulation, and come to us as the U.S. Chamber and our companies like VMware that we work with, and we would have a dialogue. And, policy, the one thing I've learned over all these years, you never get it perfect. But the question is, are there just things that it's so hard to live with that it's a non-starter? And we were able to remove those sorts of issues and get the policy to a place where it's flexible, it's dynamic enough that I think companies will be able to work with it. Again, that's a win for business, but it's also a win for Saudi Arabia in this case, and its citizens and its economy at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Steve, like I've been into a couple of these, let's say, like meetings and forums, and definitely you have seen a lot, either from both sides, either from U.S. companies operating within the region, or even though from dialogue, which is cross collaboration between, let's say, the region as well, the U.S. government, or any other affiliates that goes with it. Now, the question: what do you see like the major challenges that really everybody is coming to Steve? Steve, help us on that front. What are these key challenges that really we kind of bring to our viewers, that behind the scene really you and the team and with the platforms that you have is paving the way to remove these barriers?
Yeah, really good question. I think one of the things, and I mentioned it, has been this issue of data governance across the region. Because, Rashid, what's really interesting is it's not just companies like VMware or the technology companies, but it's also the businesses that use that technology. So you could be in consumer products, you could be in healthcare, you could be a financial services company. You care at the end of the day, because almost, it's cliche now, but every company is a data company.
Yes.
And you have to move that data around the globe, for the cloud and the new technologies, to be worthwhile. So it's so important that they get that right. Rashid, the thing everybody's buzzing about now is, because it's so pervasive, and it's taking hold across all of society, all of business, is artificial intelligence, AI, and the regulatory regime, the regulatory framework, that's going to govern how governments look at AI and how it's rolled out, how it's adopted, how it's regulated. So I think right now that's something that, again, governments oftentimes are behind the development of technology, and our overarching message, to governments in the Middle East and really around the globe is, as they say in the medical profession, do no harm first. So let's not squash innovation. Let's not squash investment. Let's set the guardrails up, that are going to allow, AI to flourish. We understand, of course, there's going to be ethical considerations. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to grapple with. But let's just make sure we don't squash innovation and investment.
Yeah, and Steve, definitely, everybody is really curious about to say, okay, what are the platforms that you're really having for getting that insights as well, reflection, discussion? Do you have meetings? Do you have forums? Do you have committees? How you do this? Just for our viewers and listeners.
No, really good question. Yeah, we at the Chamber, we pride ourselves on convening and bringing together government decision makers and business leaders, people like yourself, because we think it's absolutely critical for the policymakers, the regulators to understand and hear directly from business leaders who are on the front lines, who are having to look at these challenges on a day-to-day basis. And we do that in a number of ways. There in the UAE, for example, we're super excited that we now have a U.S. ambassador in place, Martina Strong, and she's a rock star. Now, she's got a lot on her plate. She's got a lot of different things that she has to manage when it comes to the U.S.-UAE relationship, but one of them is the economic relationship. So we're going to work in 2024, now that she's there and officially on the ground, to put in place a quarterly meeting where the U.S. Chamber and companies are coming together with Ambassador Strong, and then each quarter we'll invite a different Emirati official who is responsible for a different portfolio, to come and meet and talk about the policy and regulatory considerations they're looking at. So a natural one would be, the UAE's Minister of AI. Again, to the government's credit, there are no other AI ministers around the globe.
Around the world. That's the only one.
The first, and to my mind, I think the only one at this point. So, I think that would be an important meeting and discussion to have. And it probably won't be the only time, we look to bring that discussion together. And then, in Saudi Arabia, I'm going out, and yes, I'll be out there and I'll attend the FII forum that's held there in Riyadh. But in the days before, the U.S. Chamber is actually hosting our own forum, and it's our 4th annual U.S. Saudi Arabia Business Leaders Forum, where we're coming together with U.S. companies and policymakers from the kingdom. And we're looking at issues around the green economy and sustainability. We're certainly looking at the digital economy and a number of policy considerations there. We'll be launching a report on the AI and the opportunities in the kingdom, and then also healthcare. Again, a very fluid regulatory space and a lot of technology and innovation occurring in life sciences or medical technology. So a lot of excitement in that knowledge-based economy, as we see this economic transformation, Rashid, playing out in major markets and smaller markets all across the Middle East. So definitely exciting times.
Yeah, and I will quote, the motto for GITEX this year is that imagine AI in everything. So I think these are really a golden opportunity, which is, we know there is so many things is going to be brought up to, like enrich the customer experience, improve the society, and use technology to the good of really to deliver better services. So in the lens of the VP of Middle East for the Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, how you see the future?
Wow. Well, first off, I would commend that phrase, and I would say that's probably very indicative of the future. And I would say I very much see, the growth of AI occurring, as you said, really just permeating across the economy, across society, across, almost every component aspect of our life. For us as the U.S. Chamber, as a company, as VMware, and I think for us, it's incumbent on us, to figure out what that regulatory framework looks like, so that we're grappling with these important considerations, but that we're also doing our best, to protect that innovative drive and that opportunity, to invest and grow the technology, because it, has incredible potential, to lift up citizens, people across the globe. But we know there also is always the opportunity, for challenging, problematic uses of it as well. So I think making sure you have that regulatory framework in place, we can make sure that it's used for the right reasons and is used to the best of its potential. But it is an exciting future, Rashid, and we also see opportunities in the content creation space happening across. We didn't really even get into that. Think about here in the U.S. the Netflix and the Amazon Prime. Well, we see that again really taking fire there across the Middle East, and there's so much youth, again, with the youth and that creative bulge. I mean, it's so exciting, to see what's happening across the Middle East. So I'm actually, I'm an optimist by nature. I see the glass is way more than half full in the Middle East when it comes to the innovative ecosystem, the spirit of entrepreneurship, and just that technology and innovative drive. And I know that U.S. companies like VMware and many others are going to be right in the middle of it all. So I'm very bullish on the future of the U.S. Middle East economic relationship, and I'm just excited to be a little part of it myself at the U.S. Chamber.
So really, Steve, thank you for these really enlightening as well optimistic, let's say, like words from you, coming to see that how this is going to be, this relationship is going to be flourishing more and more, really to boost that and accelerate the transformation that's happening into our region with the power of technology and innovation happening like in the US, as well with the eagerness and desire with the visionary leaders that we have in the region as well, and really combining with the spirit, with things to do things differently and to be in the frontiers of adopting technology for good. So with that, I have to say thank you, sincere thank you from on behalf of me, we have VMware as well, from all of our audience and viewers around the globe, for enlightening us, for sharing really the mission of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and really how it's become the platform for connecting the world, as well enabling like this flourishing, the transformation that's happening within our region. So Steve, thank you so much. I hope we didn't get you that early. Enjoy the coffee, and still I promise you that we'll have the coffee when you are in Dubai. And thank you for being with us like this morning in Washington DC time.
Well, Rashid, I can't thank you enough, and I will definitely be in Dubai for COP28. Super excited about that. So we'll definitely get together, and I look forward to your special brew and having sharing some coffee together. Really look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. For our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for being with us. Now we are going to shift gear, and we are going to give you some dynamics, or regional dynamics. Following up to what Steve was saying, especially we're going to host our country director for Saudi and the rest of the Gulf, who's going to be sharing with us the dynamics of the Saudi market, and really the transformation is happening similar to what we've seen and witnesses within the United Arab Emirates and other countries around the globe. So stay tuned, and we will be back with you in 2 minutes once we hook up safe, and we'll be going live audio and video with you. So thank you, Steve, for being with us, and really looking forward to host you again in our next podcast, and hopefully in the COVID-28. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rashid Al Omari, and we are broadcasting live from Dubai at GITEX 2023. As we discussed earlier with Steve, the Vice President of the US Chamber of Commerce, there are so many dynamics happening in the region. There is so many innovation, transformation, and definitely as we're in the UAE and we are seeing so many things like in economy, in life, so many transformation happening in all fronts. Also, we having Saudi is going through a major transformation at all fronts, and I'm super, delighted and always, honored to host with us in this podcast, Saif Mashad, the managing director of the Saudi and rest of the Gulf business for VMware. So with that, we'll say, Saif, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Saif, Saudi is going through a lot of things, and me, even though I live in the region, wherever between visits, I see things differently in Saudi. We are having viewers from all around the globe. We're having from the Far East to Europe to Nordics to Latin America to Africa, and they would like to hear from Saif. I will call it today the Saudi ambassador, of goodwills, okay, and also the leader of VMware. So can you tell us what's happening in the Saudi?
Okay, so Saudi has always been perceived in the mainstream media as this big desert, the big land of desert, okay, and although this is partially true, but it's not the full truth. Saudi is like a small continent, okay. All type of environments are there. So we have the desert, we have shores, we have Virgin Islands, we have forests, we have mountains, and we have a lot of history and heritage within this land. I'm a Saudi national and still amazed with the amount of history and exploring and this heritage and tourist places. So the Saudi government, since I would say probably 2017, they started realizing that there is much more that we can do with our beloved country.
With the
potential, absolutely. So aside from having Mecca and Medina, which is the holy destination for all Muslims around the world, there is a lot more that can be done in Saudi and a lot of potential to do. And so the country started investing in a lot of aspects, and I really encourage everyone to have a look at the Vision 2030, because it's really comprehensive and it's explaining all aspects of the country and how is the Saudi government going to invest there. One of the beauties of having this Vision 2030 that unifies our direction. No matter in which industry you're working, the direction is unified for the entire nation, for all government organization, private sector, and so on. So you see a lot of investments happening in sports, a lot of investment happening in tourism, a lot of investment happening in the IT infrastructure and IT services, and the rest goes on and on and on. That also has a reflection on how are we living our lives, okay? Mm-hmm. We are a much more open-minded environment. We are much more receptive environment to all nations of the world. I'm living in Riyadh since 2005, and I can tell you Riyadh now, with all it means is really an international city, okay? Taking Riyadh as an example, just to give you the amount of potential that one area of the potentials where Saudi has. Riyadh as the capital city of Saudi Arabia, the population of Riyadh is about 6-7 million right now. Mm-hmm. And the vision is to have Riyadh to reach or to exceed the 15 million people in Riyadh by 2030. Wow. That's in 7 years, huh? So wow. You're looking to double, or probably more than double the number of residents of Riyadh in 7 years. Just imagine the amount of investment that the government will need to do or help implement, okay, in all areas. Residential, commercial, educational, services, facilities, sports, you just name it. The opportunity is huge, mm-hmm. and the potential is huge. The ambition is huge, and the country is completely ready for this. And us as Saudis are very excited to go through this journey. This is just one example of many that I can give.
So I will tell you, not just only Saudis, all of us in like this region, we are very proud of what Saudi is doing. And really, when we see this, in like as I told you, every time we go there, whenever now we start consuming service, it's starting from visa, appointment, just to, it takes seconds to get it, from
Right.
the experience that we get through the airport to the city itself. I think for us this is a big change, and I think it's really massively impact also the Saudi position, the role of Saudi in the region, as well the experience that everybody is aiming from Saudi to deliver, to be, like in this kind of very thriving society within the region.
No, absolutely, Rashid. And let me talk about the electronic services for a while, because this is something we do in our industry a lot. And I have to say that I'm proud to be one element of many, as the leader of VMware, one element of many in the IT industry in Saudi, to build those kind of electronic services. I'll give you just one example. My older son, he is living in Manchester right now. He's having his he's in the third year in college, and I've been born in Riyadh. He lived throughout all of this internet era. And all the electronic services, he did not see what it means to go
To have in a queue.
to stay in the queue. He never seen that. Okay, it's for him. It's all electronic services. Okay, he went to the UK, and the first thing he told me, the electronic services we have in Saudi is way much more advanced in all aspects, and this is something that makes me proud, being a contributor into this. So today, Saudi Arabia is one of in the top 5 electronic services countries in the world. I don't know where exactly, but it's up there. All, and that reflects into the ease of use. Because if you want to do all of those kind of investments, if you don't have a proper digital infrastructure and electronic services that makes the lives of the citizens, the visitors, the tourists,
The experience,
the investors better, okay, that will delay things. Okay, so the electronic services are super important, and we can say proudly in VMware and that we have also contributed into building the digital infrastructure for the government cloud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where there was a debate. I cannot say this as a fact, but there was a debate whether the government cloud of Saudi Arabia is the largest government cloud in the world. But it's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there, and it is supported by our technology, and they have migrated more than 200 data centers of the government into one. Okay, that brings agility, flexibility, efficiency, cost saving. Okay, and we continue this journey with the government and many other sectors in the government. So the effect of the IT and the electronic services in the advancement of the country is huge, major, and the government is recognizing the value of the IT and to continue to invest in it.
and this is will bring us safe to. We know we've been hearing every now and then announcements of mega projects, or let's be corrected, it's actually giga projects.
Giga projects, correct.
So can you just enlighten for our viewers and listeners around the globe for these kind of giga projects, and then why technology is important into this one in delivering whatever promise and aspiration they have?
So there are multiple giga projects that are taking place in Saudi. So the most famous one that probably a lot of people know the name or by now is NEOM.
Okay.
So NEOM is being implemented. This is a high-tech next generation technology that is taking place in the northwest side of Saudi Arabia. In an area where it snows. For some people who don't know that, actually
So there is a snow Saudi.
it snows there. Okay, the weather is perfect, and the shores are virgin. So it's crystal clear sea
Red Sea.
views in the Red Sea. Okay, beautiful places for snorkeling and diving. Okay, but also a high-tech company. High-tech city that is being built over there. So this is the largest one of them. But there are more. There are investments happening in multiple islands within the Red Sea that are going to be completely tourist islands, okay, comparable to what you see in the Maldives, and not as many, but comparable with the quality of what you see in the Maldives or in Mauritius and all of these places. Okay, Prince Mohammed bin Salman had an interview with the BBC just a few weeks ago from one of those islands that are going to be announced and launched next year. This is another mega project under the Red Sea Authority, Red Sea Development Authority. Another investment that's happening now is in Al Qiddiya. Okay? In Al Qiddiya, we are building a city that's probably going to be home for 250,000 residents that will be serving the largest multi-theme park area in the world. Okay, we've already made agreements with the likes of Six Flags and others to be populating that area. And the list goes on and on. Okay, we're not stopping there. But Dir'iyah is another one. Amala is another one. What's happening in Riyadh itself, as I mentioned earlier, the infrastructure in Riyadh has to be upgraded very fast to cater for the ambitions that we have part of the vision. So, I mean, we are living in a time where everybody is busy, everybody is ambitious, everybody is positive. Saudi is really changing, already changed, and it's changing even more in the coming future.
So Saif, like I can see the patriotism of Saif, the Saudi national, the proud Saudi national and leader as well. Now, if we put the like the Saudi leader for VMware, and the rest of the Gulf, what you are really doing with in the practice that you establish with the teams that you have, really to fuel and to support and aspire and ignite this from VMware capacity point of view.
Listen, with all what's happening, there is a big responsibility in all the companies across the board, not only in the IT industry, across the board. There is a big responsibility on all the Saudi leaders to be fast and quick and aligned with the Vision 2030. And part of that, when I narrow down this discussion on VMware, there is also a big responsibility on us because we are one of the major vendors who is supporting the digital infrastructure of all of that transformation. So we have to be aligning with the government vision, and we have to be fast enough and coping with them. In order for us to do that, there are a lot of investments in many areas that we need to do. So we are working on enlarging our partner ecosystem. So we're working hand in hand with a lot of local companies to educate them and train them on our technology so they can be autonomous in their delivery of the technology of different projects. Because we cannot scale.
Cannot do it alone.
We cannot do it alone, and we have to pass that knowledge also to the local companies. So those companies are being equipped. There are a lot of programs that we're working with them to build their capacity, to build their competencies, to take that technology and go and implement it with the different customers. We're working also with a lot of customers to build capacity. Saudi professionals, technology professionals within the technology of VMware, we're doing a lot of training. This is what
you call the local content, if I'm not mistaken, or part of it?
It's part of the local content, so there's a lot in the local content. The capacity planning is one thing. Bringing some of the R&D or influencing the R&D of the companies within the country, that's part of the local content. We've seen companies or partners, for that matter, who build part of their factories within the country. Okay, yes. That's also local content. Okay, so very soon we're going to see some major hardware vendors that are actually manufacturing their hardware within the country of Saudi Arabia.
And also, Saif, you told me before we were in air that some will not mention the name of the, let's say, organization within Saudi. They're actually, even though influencing the technology that VMware is doing, which is then take it to the globe because they have a very specific need and niche needs into either security or specific terms. So it's not just only consuming, but also impacting.
Influencing, absolutely. There are multiple programs where we are taking some of our major customers who are consuming certain critical technologies, and we're linking them with our R&D back in Palo Alto. And they're actually influencing how the next generation products or the next patches are made. So we're not just consumers. We're actually contributors into that technology in a certain way. So this is what we're doing in the software, and in the hardware, as I mentioned, many vendors are bringing their factories to Saudi. So there are a lot of dynamics, a lot of things happening, a lot of actions, and there is a big, as I said, big responsibility on our shoulders to support that. One of the responsibilities that we are doing also, we're expanding our workforce within Saudi to be able to capture the different aspects of the business. So the channels is one part, the direct sales is another part, but also the specialization in different technologies. We have expanded our delivery team big time now, and our delivery team is one of the main arms that partners with many partners on the ground, okay, to create more capacity and more professionals in the market that can guide our projects within the different sectors in the country.
So, Saif, with this kind of change now, we've been hosting, let's say, Joe Bagley, like our CTO, also Mariam Sarand, our, telco and edge, let's say CTO as well, the global one. And we have so many experts that talk about the change, they talk about the new things, the innovation, the AI, the generative AI, and even though what we are coming in private AI, and so many innovation really to help accelerate that thing. Now, what is your message actually for your customers in Saudi, for your partners in Saudi, for your government, let's say, partners as well, in embracing like this kind of change in new technologies, and to go through that one, it really change whatever maybe potentially perceived as a hype into reality, and convert that innovation to something that citizens are gonna feel it, society is gonna feel it, a visitor they're gonna feel it, and everybody will benefit from that in new technology. So what's your take as a leader into a technology leader in embracing that change as well navigating through these new innovations?
So what I would say, dream and believe.
Okay.
Dream that you can do a big change. Be impactful. Mm-hmm. Dream in a big way. Dream in a way that makes a big impact and a big difference, and believe on that dream and pursue it. I think those are the main pillars. I mean, if you don't put a big ambitious target, okay, you never think of the ways to achieve it. Okay. And this is something that we can also learn from what the government have done. First day they put the Vision 2030, all of us, we were, I wouldn't say doubting, but seeing that this is way too big to be achieved. And I can tell you, a lot of aspects of the Vision 2030 already achieved.
Yeah.
So once you put a big dream, once you put a big ambition, you will push yourself, you push your boundaries to find ways to cut corners or be efficient or thinking out of the box to achieve those things. So dream and believe and pursue. Mm-hmm. That would be my message to all the the citizens of Saudi Arabia. Okay, and I think many of us are already big dreamers. To the partners and also to the investors that are coming from outside the country. Okay. You have to align with these things, because if you're coming with a small agenda, Saudi won't be interested. Come big, dream big, and we'll take the journey together.
Yeah. So Saif, and I think you make it clear. At least I see it every day. That Saudi as well as this region is full of opportunity.
Yep.
And there are so many things still to be done. And here our leaders in UAE and Saudi and the regions, they are fearless actually from being in the frontiers of adopting new things, pushing everybody, pushing that envelope really to get there, and put the resources, being manpower, money, everything behind it to do that shift. But also something which is really enticing whenever we come to Saudi, which is the cultural touch.
Yeah.
And I would like you really for that element to share it with everybody around the globe, okay? To say, I know how welcoming you have been, the ambassador, and anyone visiting Saudi, he will be astonished why you've been hitting that for us, you know? So can you just enlighten us as well as the viewers on the cultural aspects of the Saudi touch?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm really proud of Saudi is that although we are opening up, being more of an international destination, we're not losing our cultural touch, okay? So people are still very connected to their heritage, they're very connected to their families, to the values of the country, and everybody visits Saudi can feel it immediately,
Yes.
okay? And when you look into Saudi, there's one thing that I want to explain. Maybe this is a good opportunity to explain. Everybody think about Saudi as one flavor. We're not. We're not. I mean,
You're a continent.
We are a continent. We are a mini continent where actually the culture varies from one place to another. They share a lot of values, okay, but they vary, okay. And I think one of the parts of the vision, when you look into it, there's a big focus on embracing that. Okay, so when you go to the Hijaz region, you will find the Hijazi touch and flavor and culture. They're still reserved. You go to Najd, it's slightly different. You go to Sharqiyya, it's slightly. You go to Asir, it's slightly different. Within Najd itself, you go to Qasim or you go to Ad-Dir'iyya, it's slightly different. And list goes on and on. We share a lot of values, of course. We share a lot of mindset. Okay, we share the same vision. But our cultural aspects are slightly different, and we're very proud of it. And I think that's a big strength for the country. Okay, although we are modernized, although we are going full throttle going to the future, okay, but we are very, very connected to our heritage and our culture. I mean, this is a topic that we can, if you want me to go through each and every region to explain to you why how things are different, it will take probably hours.
I think, Sir, this is a good thing for the viewers and listeners just to come and explore, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think definitely for me personally, when I have roots back to the kingdom, I can tell you, like, the hospitality, the welcoming as well, maintaining this value structure is very important, and we are all proud of what's happening here in the UAE, what's happening in the Gulf states, what's happening in the region. It's really amazing, and this is something which is, yes, we are global, but we are keeping our own identity and cultures, and we are open for others.
Yep.
I think we are embracing it, and it's a welcoming environment for everyone.
If I want just to mention one cultural aspect, okay, and those for people who went for Hajj and Umrah, they can see it firsthand. It is part of our culture and belief as Saudi nation, okay? When it comes to Hajj and Umrah, we are servants.
Okay.
We're just servants, okay? It's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about anything. Anybody who is coming for the holy mosques, we are there to support them unconditionally. And there are many stories you can see from the Meccan and Medinan people who've been there for the
visitors, for the pilgrims.
For the pilgrims, exactly. This is something has been there for forever and will continue to be there. And actually, we teach our kids from very early age. If you are dealing with a Haji, okay, you're a servant.
Okay.
No matter which level the guy or the lady might be, you're just a servant.
Okay.
This is a privilege, being part of this country. There's a privilege being part of the country who is responsible about the two holy mosques. This is just one cultural aspect of many that I can mention.
Okay, so Saif, thank you so much really for enlightening us and giving us, and for our viewers around the globe, that kind of insights around really what's happening in the Saudi. I know that this land as well, like in this region, in the UAE, in other countries, in Egypt, in the whole region is full of potential. And we are part of it, and we are living in that opportunity, and we see things moving in acceleration into digitization, in the transformation. And for that, we're proud to be part of it and contributing within our capacity, okay? And thank you for really sharing the insights and different, let's say, prospects for our international viewers because that's give like just polish the image and give the real image actually of what Saudi is all about. And really thank you for giving this invite. And I tell you, Saif is like a very very good generous host. So if you come to Saudi, just bring shows. So I'm inviting a lot of people to you, Saif. But I know the Saudi culture, the Saudi hospitality, and you're gonna be up to it.
No problem. They're all welcome.
Okay. So with that, really thank you so much for all our listeners and the viewers around the globe for being with us for the last almost 4+ hours. It has been interactive, engaging, and always a thrill to just be with you. Like since the morning, or afternoon in Dubai time, we actually started the day with, like the one and only Joe Bagley, which is our CTO. Just he's enlightening us about what's happening in the innovation in the space of the AI. Then we jumped into let's say telco CTO, which is coming specifically from let's say all around from the US to be with here, to be on a stage, just to change what's happening in the transformation in the telco and the new narrative of the transformation and all front. Then we had discussion with application team, with the mobility team, with even though with elements of aspects around sustainability. We've been hosting Schneider, Senior Vice President for Secure Power, and we had ended up today with Steve, the senior, the vice president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which he enlightened us on the role of the Chamber of Commerce in bringing that innovation as well to be the platform to connect the local governments, the entities, the private sector with the innovation in the U.S. and the West. And also we finish the day with really inspiring, let's say, view of what's happening in Saudi with Saif Mashar. So with that, I hope that we give you, really a 360 of what's happening here in GITEX, vibes of what's happening, as well an inspiration and ignite ideas for you really to take home, as well to think how you can embrace it and how you can change it and how you can really be of a change agent within your organization to move to the next. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to be having the same time at 1 p.m. Dubai time. To be with us, we have lined up of experts, customers also, they want to share their own stories. For that, thank you for really being an amazing audience, an amazing followers, amazing listeners, and thank you, and we'll definitely, inshallah, see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have a good day.